Hi, and it's been a long time. This is Christine Paxhia, and today I am going to be demonstrating how to make a colorful Easter floral centerpiece. And as you can see, I've sort of been inspired by the color of Easter eggs. So today I have beautiful roses. They're magenta color, and these are David Austin roses. I have the orange spray roses, which add a little bit of color and texture, and even some white roses. But I'm bringing in snapdragons, delphinium, tulips, we have ranunculus, hyacinth, and daffodils. So all of these together will look like one big, cheerful Easter basket for your table. So I've chosen a vessel that's a little bit longer. As you can see, it's about 10 inches in diameter, 10 inches long and a few inches high. And for my mechanics, I'm using a chicken wire egg that I've created. And all I do for that is cut a big piece of chicken wire and tape it to the sides so that when I am putting the flowers in and the foliage in, I will keep it secure. And I also have foliage that I will be using. And so the method that I'm using here can be applied to just about any container. If you don't have one as large as this, you can use a smaller cylinder. And keep in mind that the larger the opening, the more flowers that are going to be needed. So I typically like to use a container that's about 5 inches in diameter at the most. That's about like that. And even smaller, and you can always make that larger. So for today, I've chosen this one, which I found at a lovely store on the Cape last summer, and I'm going to use it. So I'm going to add my water, and in my water, I have the flower food. So that's that little packet that you get when you buy a bouquet of flowers from the market or any store. So I've got the water's in there. And I'm going to start with my foliage. And today I'm using Italian ruscus. And what's really nice about Italian ruscus, it's very long and flowy. So what the Italian ruscus does, it will help you create your line. So think about your table, think about the number of guests, think about what's going on your table. So for today's purposes, I am going to make this a little bit longer. So I'll cut about 3 inches off the bottom, and I'm placing this in on an angle so that this goes out in a horizontal way. And I'll find another piece that's about the same. So you can look through your bunch. I buy this from the flower market, and it comes in bunches. It also comes in length. So this is the long Italian ruscus, so this looks about the same. Doesn't have to be. So I put that in on the side. So now I have my line, as you see. So I will start putting in shorter pieces. And so I can cut this down. So when I cut something, I try to make a cut so that you don't see the open stem or the cut stem in the centerpiece. So I'm going to cut down there. And if I have to, I might cut this little piece off to give my stem a little bit more. So I think I'll just put that right in the middle, and I can do the same. So from this one piece, I will be getting 3 to 4 other pieces. I'll take off the bottom, and I can use this, because if you have small, I'll show you how I will use those smaller pieces later. So I try not to waste anything. And then I'll keep going. So now I have the greens going this way, and maybe I will place one so it's coming a little bit over the side. And I will keep going around, and this is called greening up. And this concept can be applied to a centerpiece. You can also apply this concept if you're doing a holiday green with greens from your yard, or around Christmas time with the pines and everything else that you have. And so like I said, I just keep going around until this is greened up. And it's a nice length, and this color green goes nicely with my container. And if you had just a clear glass container, it would still be as beautiful. Italian ruscus is very flowy and just adds so much to anything. So I think I'm going to slow down with ruscus for now, and I'll put the rest back here. So for what I've done is I've made this equally green on both sides, because you're going to be sitting down. And one thing I also try not to do is, if you are having a dinner party or this is for your dining room table, you don't want the centerpiece so high that you can't see over your guests. So I have that. So I have all these gorgeous flowers, and some of them are drapey, and we'll add just that, again, that flowy movement. So I think I'll start with these beautiful tulips. So with the tulips, I condition them to make them hydrated and have them last longer. And tulips like a little bit of vodka to help them to stay a little bit fresher, a little bit longer. So what I do is I take off the foliage like this. You can cut it off, and you can also, or just tear it off. But I group them in threes, and keep in mind, tulips like to move. So this one, I'm just going to give it a fresh cut and place that going out that side, out the end. And same with this one. You can leave a little bit of foliage on. I like to take it off because it sometimes takes up too much room. But just having that drape over on that side adds movement and brings the color to the end. And I have 3 more of this color, so I will do the same on the other side. For a little quicker, you can just snip like this, and by doing that, by just snipping them, the foliage will peel off a little bit easier. So look at this color. Doesn't that make you think, oh my goodness? And the nice thing about tulips is, even if you didn't have them in an arrangement, they are pretty on their own in a simple clear vase. So you could just keep going. So now I have the tulips on the end, and along with the greens. So it's already starting to shape up. So I think I will start to add some of these gorgeous roses, and these are exquisite David Austin roses. And if you you can buy the plants and grow them in your garden, but I bought them from the flower market. So I'm cutting this one down to about 5 inches, and I'm going to place that going up that way. And I'm going to put these in the center this way. And when you want something to be seen, you put it in on an angle. So I cut this one this way, and you put it in on an angle so it's facing outwards. It's facing your guests, as opposed to everything pointing up. So when you do place them in, place things on an angle so you can see them and enjoy them from any vantage point. So you can see those all from from the angles that you have placed them in. So I am going to add some more color. So ranunculus. Ranunculus is a beautiful flower. It almost looks like a rose, but it's ranunculus. And when I condition this one, it actually requires being dipped in 1/4 inch of boiling water, because they secrete a little sappy substance that when you condition it that way, and then you place it into a container with the flower food, it will last a little longer. And the fun thing about ranunculus, you can have them a little bit taller so that they pop out at the top. And a lot of them come with the bud already on it. And I love having the buds peeking out. So I'm going to cut off some of the dead foliage because sometimes they get a little bit yellow. It's not always the longest lasting, but see how pretty that is and the movement that you get with that. And these are beautiful in wedding arrangements. I use a lot of these for weddings. And so look at this one. You've got the buds, you've got the flowers, and I'm going to cut it a little bit longer so that it's sticking up and moving around. So it's kind of looking like that. I'm going to add some hyacinth, and look at that color. Isn't that spectacular? So these have a very thick stem. So if you are working with hyacinth, you sort of have to be careful because the stem might not stick in there. But I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter and place that so that it's resting that way. And I got a little bonus out of this one. It had another bud, so I'm just going to place that someplace. It may not open, but it adds a little different color and a little bit of texture. These don't really have a ton of fragrance today, but maybe they need to be out in the wild. And so I'll keep going around with that side. And one more. I like to work in threes when I'm doing centerpieces. You can have one going that way so that it's visible to the exterior and the other person on the other side of the table, and one on this side. So that's what I have so far. And let's see, I have these gorgeous spray roses, and as I mentioned, they just add another bit of color and different form. So spray roses come like this. As you see, there are several blooms and several little offshoots. I'm going to take off the foliage as much as I can. And if I cut this right here, that will leave me with this stem with two longer ones. So I will cut that one a little bit longer, and I'm going to have that go out the side. And this one I will place right there so that it's facing your guest. And always clean up anything that sometimes you get them and they break off. And this one actually, I'm just going to cut it that way and put it going out here. So now I have some orange, and I'll take another one and I'll do the same thing with this one. I'm going to cut off, I think I'll cut this one here like that, and I have another longer piece that will come out on this side. And a lot of designs today are more free-flowing with a lot of airiness and movement, and it gives that feel of just a little less formal, but still formal. So I am going to add maybe another rose over here on this, right in the middle, because I feel like it needs something, but I'm going to make this one a little taller. Take off the foliage and I'll place it right there so it's sticking up. But now I've got all this beautiful blue delphinium and snapdragon. So I will take a snapdragon, and these usually bring height and also movement. And I'm going to cut this to about a foot long or maybe 10 inches long. And I'm going to place that going out that way. And I'll do the same so that it's mirrored on the other side, cut it around there. And place this on this side. So because I placed the Italian ruscus early on, that forms my line and allows you to just keep going. So it just is turning out to be a lovely spring centerpiece. And I'll put one of these in the middle, but I'll cut the center one a little bit shorter. So you can have it going that way, and I'll mirror it in the same way, going in the other direction. So now I will add, I have these, I don't know that I want yellow. So sometimes the flowers tell me what I should put in and what I shouldn't. But I'm going to add this beautiful white rose, which is already open. And this one smells gorgeous. And I'll place this one lower, like right here, so that it can be visible as your guests are looking at it. And I have another one that's almost open the same way. I will place that one on the opposite side and in the same way. So I'm starting to lose space with the chicken wire. So I have all of this gorgeous blue delphinium here, and I am going to add just a little bit to bring in that blue. And sometimes it gets all knotted up. I'm just going to cut this because I don't need it to be really long. But the nice thing also, they have all these little tendrils, but even if you just pop the tendrils in and around, it makes it wispy and airy. So I'm going to put this sort of right here in the center. And even though I do have yellows, I may not put the yellow in there because I'm just liking the way that this is coming out without the yellow. And, you know, sometimes you just have to stop. So I think I will stop with the flowers, but it is Easter. And what I do have are these very cute little Easter baskets. So to put this in someplace, I'm just going to use one of my old rose stems and place that right in here, so like it's supposed to be there for Easter. And I have also a little tiny peep. Remember those little things, you could buy them. I'm dating myself now. They're those little fuzzy things, and they're very cute, and they'll just sit nicely. Put it right in the nest too. So now there you have it. There's your Easter centerpiece. So I'm going to place it over here on the table, and it will complement the china, and it will also complement the tablecloth. So some other things you could do, you don't have to have a big centerpiece to make your table look good. You can use smaller little bud vases. And remember I said I keep those little pieces, so that you can just put a little piece of green in any one of these things. And you can do a single flower. You could do like a few daffodils in here. So I'll take some of these daffodils. You could do one and just put that in there, or make it 3, because I like to do things in 3s. And then you can accent your table with little things like that, or even a ranunculus. A ranunculus is really nice as a single flower. Just do a ranunculus, and I'll cut the bud there, and I'll add a little bit of green. Take off the bottom too, because you don't want the foliage in the water. But if you're having a party and you just needed something for the high top tables, this is perfect because it doesn't take up a lot of space. It leaves room on the table for your guests to hang around. You can put appetizers on that table or various other things. And So you have something small like that. It's just one simple flower, a simple design, and with the greenery. So I'll do one more, and I'll add this time just a single hyacinth. And keep it, you might, so the typical rule for height is 1.5 times the height of the container. So I'm going to cut this down a little bit, place it there with the foliage. Maybe I'll add another piece of greenery. And there you go. So they don't have to be the same, which makes it nice, but they do go with, they utilize all the other flowers that you have in your centerpiece so far. And then last but not least, sometimes, you could take a low little container like this. This is about 5 inches long. It's about 2 inches wide. And you may not even need any mechanics in there. And like I brought calla lilies today just to say, that you could just sort of put these going this way. And make that in water. So that would just be moving on the outside of this container and, just one color. So there's so many things you can do to make an Easter basket looking floral centerpiece. And like I said, if you just had tulips and you wanted to just put tulips in, they're inexpensive. You can get a nice bunch or a couple of bunches. And just placing them in a clear glass vase gives you color, elegance, and nobody needs to know that they've had vodka. So here are just a few ideas for you to make your Easter table or any holiday table, could be Mother's Day, could be any celebration, bright, colorful, cheerful, and easy to do. So I hope you've enjoyed this segment of Garden Path. It's good to be back. I know we sort of had a little hiatus over the past couple of years, but I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you for tuning in.